Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are looking at the DraftKings and FanDuel NBA slate for Friday. Happy Friday to everybody. It's Halloween weekend. Hope you guys are going to have some fun. Stay safe out there. Looking at the 11-game slate tonight. Didn't have a chance to make a video this morning, so getting one out right now. Yesterday, we cashed on double-ups on DraftKings. It was a pretty low-scoring night. So thanks to Zubats, able to get over the money. And DraftKings missed on FanDuel. Today, we have 11 games. Let's get into it. Keep DK rolling. Hopefully, he can hit in both sites and tournaments as well. If you want to check out Twitter for updates at the DFS process, we're still waiting on some news. Lots of teams questionable. Lots of guys questionable on some teams, especially the Lakers with Russell Westbrook questionable as well as Davis. So that's definitely big, and that's the last game of the night. And we have some other new news to talk about in Portland, in Orlando. So let's get started. If you want to join us, you can check out the website, dfsprocess.net. Starting off at the point guard picks. Trae Young is 98. Once again, it's just not getting to Trae Young or DeJounte Murray for myself at all this year, and it's been working out fine. I mean, Young's not been bad this year, but he's not giving you any fantasy point games where you're going to be dead if you don't have him. I mean, he's been a bit underwhelming fantasy-wise. He hasn't had more than 50 fantasy points since the first couple of games, and he was right at 50 in those games. At almost 10K, we're looking at 60+, or at least 60 to give us enough bang for our dollar. Harden is 97 against Toronto. Sixers 1-4 to start the year. I mean, Doc Rivers, it's time to go for him. We saw how much it benefited the Phillies getting rid of the coach. I mean, Doc Rivers hasn't done nothing for the Sixers. Time for him to go, get a new face in here, and hopefully, I mean, Harden's been playing well, but they're just not getting everybody to click together. You know, they need a coaching change at least. Don't mind Harden, but there's some other guys I'm looking at. No LaMelo Ball still. Looks like no Terry Rozier is doubtful, so you're going to continue to get Dennis Smith starting at point guard. He looks good as a value pick. But a big piece of news today that we didn't have last slate was Damian Lillard is out for a couple of weeks, so it's going to big benefit to Simons. We saw last year when Lillard was out for much of the second half, Simons was just absolutely balling in some games, and that's what kind of allowed them to trade McCollum at the deadline because of the emergence of Simons and having him start at shooting guard. So he's the first guy I'm putting in here at $7,100. It's a great matchup against Houston. You know, he's going to get a ton of usage, handle the ball a bit, get some assist opportunities. Going to see 35, 36, 37 minutes at least. And I just have a lot of confidence in him. He can knock down the three with the best of them. Other picks at point guard. You know, Simon is my favorite guy in the 7K range based on the price tag. You do have other pivots you could make, like a Chris Paul. Maybe go up a little bit to KPJ if you wanted to, 8K range. Maybe CJ McCollum if he plays without Zion, who's all of a sudden a game-time decision after it looks like he was going to be out for a few weeks. So that's good news for the Pelicans and Zion. 6K range, Westbrook has been awful, and I never even want to think about playing him. But if there's no Davis and he jumps into the starting lineup, he could be worth some sprinkles at that price tag. Clarkson was great last game. That's a tough matchup for the Utah Jazz going into Denver, so it could be a stay-away spot for some of them, for some of these guys. But the price is going up just slightly, and the matchup is just not that appealing. Although they did beat Denver in the first game of the season. Trey Jones continues to be a great option at 6K, as well as Jamal Murray's price has come way down on DraftKings now, so you could definitely take shots on him. You know, no reason why he was priced 77 in the first few games, but it's gone down to 67 last game. He's down to 61. Definitely a good matchup for them. He could be a nice GPP pivot off of like Trey Jones and Dennis Smith, who are going to get a lot of ownership. But I like both of those guys, but Simon's still going to be my preferred option if I had to pick one point guard. And then shooting guard, I'm going to plug in Sharp here. He should be starting at shooting guard in place of Lillard, and they shift Simons over to point guard duties. The rookie has looked good in his limited minutes that he's played so far this year. On the season, he's shooting 46%. He's knocked down 6 of 12 threes and made 6 of 9 free throws. And he's a guy that will also get you rebounds, get you maybe a defensive stat here and there. Not much of an assist guy, but he can score. And at this price tag, it's gone up by 1,000, but that's definitely because of Lillard's injury and them knowing that he's going to probably see 10 plus more minutes than usual. So I definitely like him at that shooting guard position. Other picks at top end would be, not looking at the top too much, not much at Mitchell. That's a game that they definitely don't have too much interest in. Cleveland-Boston should be a defensive matchup there. Booker looks okay against the Pelicans at 9K. McCollum, if he plays, definitely looks solid if there's no Zion still and with Ingram still out. We've got a bunch of questionable guys here, so keep an eye on that news. Not much interest in the 6K range for me. 5K, maybe look at Buddy Hield. He was hot last game shooting-wise, but I think Terrence Ross could be a great play tonight with them missing Cole Anthony, Suggs. Also, they're not having Fultz, obviously, for a bit, so Ross is going to continue to get a lot of shots off. He loves to shoot. He can catch fire and knock down like he did against Boston, put up 40 fantasy points, if not more. So he's like a perfect boom or bust option, and with some of these guys missing on Magic's side, could be a boom spot for Terrence Ross tonight, so keep that in mind for the Human Torch. So he's definitely my favorite guy in that price range, besides for Josh Richardson, who I'm going to put in at small forward. Other picks below 5K on the shooting guard position, possibly Derek White, if you wanted to go to that. Anybody in that game, but for myself, it's mostly a stay away. Kendrick Nunn, if there's no Westbrook, and possibly no Davis as well, looks decent. Small forward, I put in Josh Richardson. I mean, he was surprising that he was handling the ball a lot last game. He had 10 assists, double-double there. He didn't shoot particularly much, but he did shoot well in the shots that he did take. 50% from the floor, 50% from three, and he saw 16 more minutes than the previous game with them missing Devin Vassell. So the price tag went up a little bit, but it's kind of reflective on where it should be. Maybe still a little bit underpriced because of the role, and they're pretty thin on bodies. In terms of guys that are going to take on a lot of usage and handle the ball and score, and he's definitely one of those guys. Other picks at small forward would be obviously LeBron James if Davis is out, or Westbrook. But especially if Davis is out, then he looks awesome. Other pick, 67 for Hayward, looks decent. But I love Franz Wagner. Now, with them missing their traditional point guards, we've seen Wagner handle the ball a bit. He could facilitate. He can rebound. He probably have a great game tonight in terms of having an all-around stat line. Wouldn't be surprised if he flirts with a double-double or possibly even a triple-double if we get really lucky. The matchup is excellent against Charlotte. So it's definitely one game I want to have some interest and a lot of interest in, with both teams being shorthanded, missing some key guys. They're going to get some good pricing and take advantage of some of those. Power forward-wise, Giannis looks great still at 12-1. Matchup isn't great against the Knicks. If Davis is out, I like LeBron for almost 2K less. I also do like paying up for a center if I could. Paulo Banchero's not missed a beat so far in his NBA season. In his first 5 games, he's averaging 24 points, looking like a veteran out there. Can improve the 3-point shooting a bit, but really nothing else you can complain about. 80% from free throw line, shooting almost 45% from the floor, giving the Magic good defense as well. He's done everything. He's done everything and more that they've asked of him. Jeremy Grant is going to get more usage without Lillard. He looks decent at 63. I like Kelly Oubre still, that price tag. 5K range would be Vanderbilt if you wanted to play him at 56. Gives you big-time rebounding upside. And value-wise, not much that I'm looking at too much, unless like Zion is out, then you can look to Marshall at 39. Moving over to centers, where I love Giannis, but I can get to Jokic against the Jazz for 1,100 less. And I know Jokic struggled in the first meeting against the Jazz at the start of the season. In terms of fantasy, I mean, he shot amazingly. 12 of 17. Just didn't have only 4 rebounds, which is shocking, and only 6 assists as well. But typically, you're going to get a double-double easily from Jokic. He's averaging 11 rebounds per game. Can rack up those assists. Wouldn't be shocked if he has a triple-double tonight. I wonder what his odds are on sportsbooks, and I'll take a look after this video. But like Jokic, his price tag is still cheap compared to some of the other guys at the top end, like Giannis. LeBron's price tag is cheap. Jokic's price tag is cheap, and still Olynyk and Vanderbilt will probably have their hands full slowing down Jokic. Hopefully he can get more rebounds this game than he did in the opener. And those are the 5 guys I like on DraftKings to get us started. Other picks at center would be going with Nurkic and Jakob Poeltl as the 2 values in the mid-range guys that I'm looking at. 7K, 8K range be possibly like Valanciunas if there's no Zion, but the Suns playing really well this year. They're playing good defense as well. So, I don't mind getting 1 or 2 pieces from that game, but not want to go crazy. I like to take advantage of teams that are shorthanded. We know that they're in great matchups, like Portland, shorthanded, Spurs, shorthanded. Denver's not really shorthanded, but we're getting a superstar, one of the best players in the NBA, and then Orlando shorthanded. So those are the main teams I'm kind of focused on tonight. And now we're waiting on, actually it's not the last game of the night. We have the Lakers Timberwolves game starting at 8. So we'll hopefully get that LeBron news, the Davis and Westbrook news before lock. Let's go ahead now and look at FanDuel. All right, on FanDuel, Much similar and closer pricing between Giannis and Jokic. He's 11.5 on FanDuel. So a little bit of a closer discussion if you wanted to pick between those guys. But there's just certain players that I'm definitely locking in right now. Starting off with the point guard picks, still like Harden a little bit on FanDuel compared to his DraftKings, but there's still some other guys that I have more interest in. Like McCollum, if there's no Zion at that price tag. He struggled last game, but he just wasn't really shooting well. He didn't have any rebounds. That's going to change. And then going with the 7K range, like Holiday at 78, he's, as long as he's shooting semi-decent, he's going to give you those other category stats to give you a good fantasy line. But sticking with Simons, just such a good matchup against Houston at home. He's going to be able to shoot however many times he wants, and good chance he knocks down a majority of them, or at least a good percentage of them with how good of a shooter he is. Other pick could be Dennis Smith at 68. Jalen Green at 64. He's still been playing great for the Houston Rockets this year. Trey Jones, 6K, is in play. Jamal Murray's still very affordable. 54. He's going to crack some interest in some lineups if you make a bunch. Over at shooting guard, that's where I'm going to get to Josh Richardson, who's only 48. So, liked his price tag on DraftKings. You're going to love it on FanDuel. At this price tag is just really cheap. You have to roster 2 shooting guards. So he's going to be, and you can also play him at small forward as well. So he's very easy to fit into lineups. You have Sharp, 42, still looks like another good value if you wanted to get to him. And then Hart, Wagner, Hayward, these 3 core plays in the 6K range. In terms of the overall shooting guard position, you have Beal still cheap, although he's been a bit struggling with fantasy-wise. Hopefully he picks it up soon. Over at small forward is where I'm going to put in Franz Wagner at 66. Love that price tag. It's very affordable on both sides, and wouldn't be shocked at all. You kind of expect him to handle the ball and bring the ball up the court a lot of the time, and gives you more assist opportunities, more usage. Great matchup against Charlotte. Good price tag. He's at home. Lots of good things going for Wagner tonight. We'll be shocked if he has a disappointing game. Over at power forward, love LeBron's price tag. 10-3. He's cheaper than Davis. He's cheaper than, obviously he's cheaper than Giannis, but he's $1,500 cheaper than Giannis. He's a couple $100 cheaper than Tatum. Karl Anthony Towns looks good against the Lakers. They've been awful defensively. No surprise there. Randall is still cheap at 79. He looks decent. And you can get to Keldon Johnson if you wanted to at 72. He looks better to me than like Porzingis and Lauri Markkanen. 6K range. Possibly look at like Michael Porter if he plays at 61. 5K range. You have like Aaron Gordon, PJ Washington who are going to play some good minutes. 4K range, like Jaden McDaniels off the bench can give you some good production. You have Cam Johnson down there as well, but for right now, put in LeBron James at 10-3. And then last but not least, over at center, you like Jokic at 11-5 still. Embiid is questionable. It's obviously a big storyline. If he's out, then we'll see if they decide to start Harrell or if they decide to start Paul Reed. But there's going to be Jakob Poeltl, still a guy that I like. Also think you can get to Nurkic and have him just go to town on that Houston front court. But Poeltl also gives you a good matchup against against Vucevic, and those two will be able to battle it back and forth in the paint, getting rebounds. And Vucevic's not a great defender, so Poeltl should have some success down low and getting some easy baskets there and getting some block shots, hopefully. So that's it for DraftKings. That's it for FanDuel. Thank you for watching. Apologies for the late video. Hope you guys all have a great weekend. I'll have still some videos out, football video out tomorrow for the final look, and maybe some other ones, prize picks possibly tomorrow as well. But that's all I got for today. Thank you, and best of luck.